Welcome to another dimension. With the team, Damon Penny, Ben Winfield, and Louisa Brown. We guide you through the supernatural, the occult, and the unexplained, answering questions that will make you question your grip of reality, with special guests guiding you through everything from demons to divination, cryptids to crystals, religion to skeptics. We explore in depth the true meaning of the unexplained. So strap in, kick back, and enjoy as we enter the other dimension.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the other dimension. I'm your host Kate, and with me today I have the lovely Scott Mathewson from Paranormal in History. We're going to ask him so many questions today. I'm all prepared, and thank you so much, Scott, for coming on. Very, very excited to interview you. First things first, just want to say a huge thank you to Ben and Lou, and Damon also from the other dimension, and Things Network, because they are also airing on their network, which is incredible. So thank you so much, guys. And Scott, I actually have to say a huge thank you to you, because it's because of you I got the courage to start this show, really, because I've been on your show a few times on Paranormal in History, and I absolutely loved it. And also I got to meet Nick and Don and all the other wonderful people that you've had on your show. I got to meet Patty Negri, which was just something I never thought would happen, and John Ozuna as well. So honestly, thank you so much. Yeah.
You're very welcome, Don. Thanks very much for having me on and being your sort of first guest. It's a wee honour for me, you know.
Oh, thank you. It has been a while, but hopefully there will be more. Just want to say a big shout out to Guinea Piggies. That is my nephew, Harry. Hello, Harry. This is Sarah. Hi, Sarah.
I'm very white. I know I'm very white, I don't know, as I was explaining to Kate before we came on, I don't know. I've tried to like
angelic and luminous and all of those lovely complexions, Scott.
Thanks very much. I'm Scottish.
Hi, Lou.
Hi, Louisa.
There she is. Anybody else? Lots of she says, turn your lamp off.
The lamp is off. The lamp's not on.
Hi, Ben. Ben says hi too.
Hey, Ben.
That's awesome. Okay. I can't seem to click off the comments.
Just click on the comment again. Yeah. It should disappear.
Okay, it's my phone glitching. Okay, we're all good. So, Scott, let's start from the very beginning. Just tell us a little bit about you, where you grew up, interests, passions. You are Glaswegian. I can hear a lovely Glaswegian accent, right?
You got the accent then.
Oh, Laura's here.
Hey, Laura Doll.
Hi, Laura.
She's one of ours. I'm Glaswegian, born and bred in Glasgow. Grew up in Glasgow. It's one of the roughest parts in Glasgow, Pollock. They say it's the roughest part in Glasgow, but it's, you know, if you're from there, then it's not really, you know, it has its troubles. It was everywhere else. Lived briefly in East Kilbride and then moved back to Glasgow and drove a truck for 20 years.
Wow.
And gave that up and then went into chefing. Got kids. We've got partner Sarah. We've got a little one, Tayami. She's 8 now. She'll be 9 in February. And that's it. My interests are Elvis Presley, as everybody knows.
Nice.
The paranormal, history as well, obviously. Formula One.
Okay.
I'm a big Formula One fan. I like, I'm into gospel. I've got a big variety of music, from gospel to like say AC/DC sort of thing, you know. But I like my gospel, my country music, and what have you. And that's really about it.
Yeah, well, there's a lot
an average
there. There's a lot that I'm going to unpick from that, definitely. Just going to say bye to Harry, since I need to go now. Okay.
Bye,
Harry. So truck driving, how was that? That's a pretty difficult job because you really have to concentrate. It's long hours. It's that.
It was good, you know. It was good for many years. I don't know. We're not doing the UK, you know, hundreds of times or different towns and what have you. And it is long hours. You were away sometimes 3 or 4 days at a time. But you know, sometimes it did get you down. You were away from home that much. But I mean, the money was good, and I love driving. I've been driving since 19. Big year with my age, about 1986, 87, and you know I still love driving to this day. So I was doing something that I loved,
Yeah.
but then it just, you know, a lot of companies turned it, you know, they were looking for agency drivers, and they just got kind of silly. And I thought, you know what, 20 years, I've had enough.
Yeah, I get that.
And I started just driving a van. For a flooring company in Glasgow. Then I went into chefing.
Yeah,
but I did enjoy the driving.
Yeah. So with chefing, do you have like a signature dish? I'm just going to say hi to Sean. Hi, Sean. Welcome in.
I think Sarah loves sweet chili chicken skewers.
Ooh, that sounds good.
She loves them. I used to work in a place in Kilmarnock where I love steakhouse, and that they were one of the things on the menu. And Sarah and I were forever in there, you know, days off and what have you, going there for dinner. Because you got a discount. I'm from Glasgow, so anything discounted is good. You know, you go there with the bargains up. And so I'd say that was it. You know, there's quite a few things I make, but I think my chicken skewers are everybody's kind of favourite.
Yeah, yeah. That's like your party piece. You know, you would bring that to a party, and
and they're easy enough to make. You know,
Laura says your chicken curry is pretty epic.
Oh, thank you, Doc. Thank you, Doc. I do. But I think one problem I have, and Sarah and Laura say, and Tayami said it as well, that I usually make too much. You know, and but it's just the way I was brought up. You know, it's better having too much than too little. So,
yeah, I mean, you can freeze it, can't you?
I usually just bin it, but this thing just goes in the bin. I should freeze it really, but I tend to sort of, when I'm making my mashed potatoes as well. I must say, I've been complimented on my mashed potato before, that kind of stuff. But I do tend to make too much.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah.
That's about it.
So what's the secret to your mashed potatoes? Because I know people put butter, cream, milk. Is there a secret?
Don't tell. A couple of people have asked me that, you know, and as much as I like you, Kate, I ain't telling you. You know what I mean?
That I respect that totally. It's
one
secret recipe.
One secret ingredient is potatoes. That's all I'm giving away.
Right. That's a good point. Yeah. Some people might miss that, you know, mashed potatoes.
Some people, you know, 2 or 3 people have said to me, you know, what do you put in your mash? And that, shh. Not telling. But basically, there's no secret recipe. Basically, it's just finding the right batter. I used to make tons of it in the steakhouse, you know, the big massive pots, and it's just finding it's just milk and margarine. It's just finding the right balance to put in, and that's it. You know,
I creamy and flavour.
I could tell people there's a secret ingredient, keep them wondering, but there's no really, you know.
I think it would be a good idea if you did a paranormal in history cookbook. How cool would that be? Yeah, you could do like ghost mashed potato and the shape of a ghost, and
that's actually an idea. I need to talk to the lady.
Could do that.
Yeah. Spooky mash.
Spooky mash. There you go. Spook
mash. I know in some of our shows we've ended up talking recipes with different guests and what have you, you know.
Yeah, you could do that. You could add that to the cookbook. Yeah.
I'm going to, you know, I'm going to write that down actually.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
I never actually, I've always got a pen on my shows, and people say, I've been asked before, what do you write? I said, I don't write anything down. It's just, you know.
Just in case.
It's the old, you know, when you give up smoking kind of thing, it's something to do with your hands, you know, you need.
Yeah.
So when I sit here, I'm just writing it as we speak. I write like a doctor, actually.
Lee says, I like to put mustard and cheese in my mash. Oh, that does sound good. I do like mustard.
Cheese, yeah, but I can't stand mustard. Oh, it's up there. It's down there with Marmite and tripe. I mean.
Okay, I guess you either love it or hate it, right? Oh, Laura says, cause Paranormal in History haven't enough to do, Gaffer. Thanks, Kate.
It's in my wee notebook, so you know, just keep checking Waterstones.
There's a gap. Maybe you can bring it out like next Halloween. You know, like a year from now.
Spooky food
From Paranormal in History. It could be historical as well.
You see, when people suggest something to me, you know, it sticks in my head. I don't know if you're the same. You know, somebody will say, "Why do you do this?" I think, and it'll sit up there and just ferment and keep going and going and going. You know, and you keep thinking about it. So I've written that down, so that could be a shout for next year, maybe.
That's keep exciting, an eye out. Definitely. Nice. So I am going to ask you a little bit about Elvis later on. And I wanted to get into your passions, and one of those is the paranormal and history. So let us know a little bit about Paranormal in History. You are the co-founder, right?
Yep. Sarah and I we started Paranormal History back in 2020. We'd never ever done anything like that. Sarah likes a history, I like the paranormal. I do like history as well. Sarah's more the kind of history buff. And how it came about was we were in a couple of, you know, paranormal groups, and somebody asked me to go on a podcast. I'd never done a podcast, you know, as a guest, so I went on this podcast, and it was all right. And so we started getting friendly with 2 or 3 people, and they said, "Why don't you start your own page and your team and that?" And we'd never done anything like that in our life. You know, I'd always been interested in the paranormal, but, you know, starting a Facebook group and that, so I thought, do you know what? To pop it, why don't we? So Sarah and I started it. It was around about June time, 2020.
Okay. Pandemic.
Just really about the start of the pandemic time. So it was kind of like the wrong time to start. You know, we only got a couple of investigations done, and then lockdown came, sort of thing. So it was Sarah and I for quite some time, just us two. Then Laura joined. She was in the background. She was Laura done a lot of the stories. She still does. She was like a kind of ghostwriter sort of thing, if that makes sense. Right. And then when I was 2020, January 2021, we were contacted by Jennifer and Mark in America, and they wanted to come on board. So PIH USA was kind of born. And
nice.
And then just last year we added, I think it was last year we added Jem and Kate from Australia.
Wow.
So we've got Scotland, America, and Australia.
So almost like 3 continents: North America, Europe, and Australia. Wow.
Aye, true enough. I never thought it was that countries. So that's basically how it started. I mean, and to be honest with you, actually, when Sarah and I started it, we thought we'd maybe last a month, because, you know, as I say, we'd never done it before, and we thought, what the heck, we'll give it a go. And over 4 years, we're still 4 years down the line, we're still here, and we've got we've been fortunate that we've got fantastic team members.
Yeah.
You know, that really can make or break a team, I think, you know, or a group, whatever you want to call So we have been really, really lucky that way.
Yeah, that's amazing. Because you do investigations, but you also, I guess, interview people like this on your show. And you've had loads of celebrities on your show. Do you want to just tell us a few? Tell the viewers what celebrities you've had on.
Patty Negri, John Ozuna, Dominica Herrera, Craig Aarons, David Espinosa, Costas Mandalore, for the soft films, Richard Felix, Simon Entwistle.
Oh, yeah.
We've had the stars of the CRA films on, just about every cast member that been in the films. We've had them on as well. So we've been really, really fortunate that all these people have taken the time to come on board, to say, we'll come on.
Yeah.
So that's just, I say, we've done over 500 shows, and trying to remember all the names is just, you just can't really.
Yeah.
But that's a handful of them.
That's an incredible achievement, though, Scott. Honestly, 500 shows, countless celebrities, as well as people talking about what they do, their lives, their interests. I mean, that's so interesting. It really is.
Thank you, though. We never actually, I talked to John the other week there when I was on with John and Dominica about the podcast, because John was asking how they came about. I said, well, we never actually planned to do podcasts when we started, but then lockdown came and we thought, well, what can we do? No doubt you were the same over there. You weren't allowed out. So we thought, well, why don't you just start talking to people?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we were lucky that we'd been in touch with a handful of teams. So I just mailed them and said, look, we're going to try podcast. Our first half dozen or so podcasts, it was just Sarah and I. We did something called Paranormal, and we would talk about a certain subject and then get people's opinions on it. And then we started to get guests on, and it took off for there.
That's amazing. Yeah. So you started in investigations, and then because of the pandemic, that's when you started with the podcast. And then when did the investigations come back? I'm guessing once all the restrictions were lifted. And
when did they come back? When was the lockdown finished? I think Sarah, a lot of you, Louisa could tell us. I think it was in about October, November.
Right.
2020. I think, I'm not sure. It was a few months that, I can't mind off. But one of the girls probably, I think it was in about the October, November time.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, but they come out, and you still do them now.
We've not done so many this year, just due to illness, and the weather here has been absolutely abysmal. So we have done some this year, maybe half a dozen or something, which isn't really a lot. We've got one next Friday, and then one in Halloween as well.
Oh, that's exciting. Yeah. Oh, Sarah also says she can't remember. It seems like a lot. Right? Doesn't the pandemic feel like ages ago, even though it was only 4 years ago? It was a weird time. Time is weird.
It was a restraint, and even when the lockdown finished, I felt that the Paranormal, it took a lot of teams quite some time to get back out there, because I think everybody was still, even though the lockdown had finished, everybody was still kind of, is it safe to go out?
Yeah.
Would it? So I think it took quite a wee while to get back off the ground, which is understandable. We were the same. You're kind of 50-50. Well, the government says it's safe, but is it safe? But it was. I say it's. You say it's a lifetime ago, but Sarah and I both had COVID about 3 weeks ago.
Oh no! Sorry to hear that.
I've had that was my fourth time actually. I've had it 4 times. I'm just greedy.
Gosh. Can't leave you alone.
Well, Sarah got it first, and then the following week I started to feel a bit iffy, and I tested and came up positive. I was like, are you kidding me on? COVID number 4. But you don't hear much of, these days. So you do forget that it is still about.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I think there's just so many other stuff coming out as well because, of kind of that time when people were sheltered with lockdown and everything, you now have so many of the other viruses that we kind of forgot about. That's kind of merged in with the COVID, and it's like, oh no, there's like strep, and then there's the stomach flus that are coming out, and
I think Sarah was telling me the other week there about this monkeypox.
Oh yes, yeah, that's having a flare up of that in the UK at the moment, aren't they?
I've not heard the many. I'm not saying there's no about, but I've not heard the many cases here. But I dare say that there is. But I'd never heard of that in my life. Well, nobody had heard of COVID. When COVID was just coming out, Sarah says to me, "Oh, there's this, virus going about," and I kept saying, "Oh, no, it's fine. It's just blowing smoke, I'm not counting much of them. Bang, the next week,
That's very true. Need to be careful with COVID. Don't want to get suspended. Absolutely. I agree. Let's swiftly move on.
Then Laura,
food poisoning. Oh man, yeah, food poisoning is awful.
So it was Sarah, Laura, then me. 1 week after another,
Yeah. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about your investigating. I know there's one place that you have investigated multiple times. Do you want to talk about that place and why it's special and why you keep going back and investigating there?
It's called Loudon-Kirk. It's a kirkyard. Kirkyard's another name for a churchyard. We started there it's about 10 minutes away from. That's why we started going. About 3 years ago, we started going down to Loudon, and we always had the sense that there was somebody down the back of it. Somebody walking about. The girls would not get anywhere near the back of it. Laura's seen a shadow a couple of times as well. So we kept going back and investigating, and then we always got something, cat balls or K2, we always get something. And then about a year in, we started to get the name Ian and Lisa. We always felt there was a little girl kicking about there. One investigation we done, I was taking photographs, and there's a Celtic cross sits in the yard, and I was taking photographs, and I looked at one of the photographs, and everybody else was there. There was about 8 or 10 there, and there was a wee girl poking out for the side of the cross.
No
black hair, and a kind of white dress or white something on, and everybody seen it. But the weird thing was that later on, I was looking through the photographs again, and she was gone.
Oh.
And now I'm not saying that was paranormal, but we know that everybody there saw the photograph, saw the little girl, and then she just wasn't in the photograph. So, I don't know, but there's a family plot down the back of the Dempster family. They were farmers back in the 1800s, and we got a lot of activity there. And then we started to get the name James Dempster, who was the father, and his wife Christina.
Okay.
And we started to get a lot of EVPs, intelligent EVPs. There's just that much. It's hard to sort of describe it. There's that much. A lot of intelligent EVPs. The Dempsters worked in a farm which is a quarter mile away from where the Kirkyard is. And we went up to the farm. We talked to the owner, and we're lucky enough to have access to the farm. And a couple of investigations I've been doing in the Kirkyard, and I says, I've been up at the house. I was up at the house to see, and we've had EVPs through the voice recorder. He's been up at the house. Scott was up at the house.
Oh, wow.
And we've took 3 or 4 different teams in there as well, and they've all witnessed the answers that we get, and we get a lot of intelligent answers, and that's why we keep going back. I know it's Rigger. I just saw Laura's comment. Rigger from Spig, him and I did an invest there ourselves one night, and he saw him,
Wow. Okay. So he showed himself. So Riggett is from Scottish Paranormal.
Paranormal Investigation Group. Yeah.
Right.
He saw him, and we had the Necophonic on. So I said, you see, James, he likes his title. If you call him James, he'll not answer you. I said,
Right.
Mr. Dempster, was that you that my friend just seen? And we get through straight away a strong Scottish accent saying, yes.
Okay.
I'd never seen him.
Interesting.
Rigger seen him.
Okay.
But we came to a stage where we felt we'd gained the trust and the whole kind of atmosphere shifted. As I said earlier, the girls, they wouldn't get anywhere near the back end, but then it turned and they'll get down the back quite happily now. It was as if some people might laugh it off, but it was as if the spirits there finally got to know us and recognised us and says, you know, they're back again, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that's why we keep going back, because we've built up a good, you know, we feel we've built up a kind of relation.
Yeah, sure. That's really interesting. So just for those who don't know, a kirkyard is a church with a graveyard, right? Is the kirkyard, right? Church with a graveyard.
Yeah. Kirk is it's a Scottish word for church.
Yeah. So also German.
Is it German as well?
Yeah, it's also German for church, which is interesting. Yeah.
That's basically what it's just a graveyard with a church in it.
Yeah. That's interesting. So from your investigating and your beliefs in the paranormal, you believe that the spirits are still there, so they lived there and they passed and they're still there for whatever reason. Maybe they loved it there in their lives and they're happy there, they don't want to move on, and they can recognize you and your team and they want to communicate because they feel comfortable, because they know you, because you've been there so often and having that relationship.
I mean, I know a lot of people might laugh at that and think, oh, you're talking nonsense, but we've had numerous teams in, and they've all witnessed, you know.
Yeah, of course.
One of the reasons we took different teams in was for kind of validation as well.
Yeah.
So that folk knew that we weren't talking out of our socks, basically. And, you know, Rosie Cardi, she's on next Sunday. She done 2 investigations, we was there, and, you know, she witnessed it as well. The owner up at the farm, he did an investigation with us as well down there, and he witnessed it for himself in the kirkyard.
Right. So the farmers also had experiences there of the same family.
Yeah, there's things happening up at the farm, wee little things, what have you. That's why we investigated there last year. We didn't get very much, but the owner was telling me that there's more stuff happening, so that's where we're going up next Friday. Rigger's coming as well.
Interesting. I have a few more questions to ask you about the paranormal. Just Laura says, before I done a lone vigil in the kirk, I refused to go near the Dempster plot. But after the lone vigil, it was if Mr. Dempster realised I wasn't a threat and I was being respectful. Okay, interesting. And hi, Jeanette. Welcome in. How are you?
Jeanette, though.
So I have a few more questions to ask. So the equipment that you use to communicate with these spirits, so you think they're intelligent spirits, first off. They're not, it's not stone tape theory, like you think.
No. I mean,
okay, they're intelligent.
We're just 2 quick examples. 2 Christmases ago, Craig, Laura's husband and I, we just the week before Christmas, we took a toy train, a bit of wooden toy train, and a wee angel doll up. And we said, you know, this is for the kids, it's Christmas time, don't bring a wee gift. And we left them. The first week in January, we went back and investigated. We done it as a live. And I says, can you tell me the gifts that we left for the children? And we got through toy train and doll.
Wow.
And then I asked them when Rosie, I forgot her name, Rosie was there. I says, I've been up at the farm and there's a round wall at the back. Can you tell me what was behind that wall? And we get back sheep.
Oh, wow.
And I said, can you tell me what colour the sheep? Because there's black and white sheep up at that farm. I said, can you tell me the colour of the sheep? And he says, brown.
And interesting.
Then later, a wee while later, I says, I've forgotten the colour of the sheep. Can you just tell me? Can you remind me? And it came straight away, came through brown. So we've had a lot of intelligent answers. So, we know it's not the old stone tape theory, because they do respond when they don't respond all the time. But we have had a lot of intelligent responses for them. But the toy train and the doll, that blew us away when we got that back.
Yeah, that is interesting. Do you think that it is afterlife, or do you think that they are in their timeline, but in another dimension, so to say, cross the veil? So you're communicating with them, but you're in your time zone, they're in their time, and it's just kind of overlapping? Or do you think that it is afterlife?
You see, that's an interesting one, because I've said this on shows as well. Are we visiting them, or are they visiting us? And we did an investigation, gave me Rosie, and we get asked, I've said that, I think I spoke to yourself as well, are you ghosts? They're asking us. So, I mean, the Dempsters, I think it's present time, because just some of the evidence we've had is Mr. Dempster is there still looking after his family. His family are all interred there. And it's just our theory, we think that, and then when they say, he's been up at the house and stuff, there's Scott, stuff like that. Whatever reason they're there for, we don't know. We know Mr. Dempster is, and Rigger, since he agreed with it, James Dempster's there looking after his family. There is a little girl there, Lisa, and as far as we know, her dad is called Ian. We can't find any information on them. We don't have a clue about, why they're there. We've got nothing on them, except we keep getting the same names. Spig investigated with us, and they get the same names as well. And that was with the headphones and the blindfold on. And he says, what's the little girl's name? And it was Rigger says, Lisa. 3 times he came out with Lisa as soon as we asked the question. So I think it's in our time, but I might be wrong,
Oh yeah, of course. Nobody knows this. It's just the great mystery of life and death, isn't it? But it's definitely very, very. It's so fascinating. Just hearing about your paranormal experiences and what you do, and about the Dempster family, which is super, super cool. Just wanted to ask you a little bit about the equipment that you use. So do you use all the equipment available? Do you use all the apps?
No, we're a kind of basic team. I don't mean, we're big believers that spirit. No offense to anybody that uses all the apps and tech and what have you. We'll use Cat Balls, K2 Meter, the Necophonic app, Spirit Talker app. So EMF meter. We've got a heat gun as well. But mostly we'll stick between Laura's phone, on a voice recorder on her phone, Cat Balls, a couple of REM pods that Charlie made for us, and the K2.
Nice.
Because we're the kind of frame of mind that especially I'm talking to spirit, you're talking to another person. That spirit's still a person, and they don't care what kind of equipment you've got. Whether you've got £10,000 worth of equipment or £50 worth of stuff. The spirit doesn't care what kind of tech you use. They just want to talk to you if they're in the mood, and it can be done. Yourself, mobile phones do everything these days. And
sure.
The amount of EVPs that we've caught on Laura's phone, they're on this computer. It's astronomical, the amount of EVPs we've caught. So we just use basic methods, and I think it's going to sound big-headed. I think that's why we've been so fortunate with Loudon. because we don't go in armed to the teeth with tech and that. We just go in basically. And we explain, you know, this wee ball will light up if you touch it, sort of thing. And so they know it's not a threat to them or anything, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, definitely. Have you ever used more sort of, because you said you're more organic with, you know, sort of the techniques you use and the equipment. Have you ever like taken it right back? So have you ever done like the human pendulum or the scrawling like in a mirror? Any of that sort of stuff, where you just basically just using your body to communicate?
We tried the pendulum, I don't know, about 2-3 years ago at Alloway Kirk in Ayrshire, and we didn't have any luck with it. I'm kind of on the fence with the pendulum. No offence to everybody uses it, but I'm kind of on the fence with the pendulum. You know, I've watched a few teams do it, and we don't say we tried it. And it didn't work for us. Maybe we could, you know, maybe if we kept trying, it might have worked at some point. But I mean, we've used things like ping pong balls.
Okay.
We've used ping pong balls, a compass as well. A cut up T-shirt tied to a bit of string as well. That you need to do that indoors, but you know it's no good outside. You need to do that indoors. Candles and stuff like that, you know. And we've asked the spirit to, you know, can you move the material on the string sort of thing? Stuff that costs basically pennies. I see, now we've tried the human pendulum once, didn't work, but that's really it. So we kind of just stick to the same kind of method because we find that works for us.
What's your view on Ouija boards?
We don't use them. I've used it once with GSI when we did Sherwood Forest a couple of years ago. The only reason I did it was because John and Ralph, or especially Ralph, they've got a lot of experience with the Ouija board. Ralph's got over 30 years experience. And obviously, if I was going to try it, it'd need to be with somebody who knew what they were doing. And, you know, John and Ralph, they're like family. GSI like family with us now. I don't know. The Ouija board, no, because again, it can be too easily manipulated, you know. And I'm not saying that everybody does it, you know, but and plus you don't know who you're letting in, who you're actually talking to. I mean, the same can be said if you're on the necrophonic, you know. You don't know who's. Somebody could say, you know, I'm a wee girl, I'm 10 years old. It could be some kind of, you know, guy, or you know, you just don't know. But so no, we don't get near the we don't know enough about it, to be honest with you. We've never bothered with it, and we don't know enough about it to use it. You know, I know there are people there who will just buy a Ouija board and go for it. But I'm kind of frame of mind, if you're going to try something like the Ouija board, then you need to know what you're doing, basically. And that's how we don't touch it.
I think that's wise. You know? Just in case. We've got Willow. Kate, you didn't tell me you were hard up for guests. I would have offered myself. Thanks, Lois.
I'm our first guest. I have the honour of being the first guest. Can
we talk about your relationship with Lois? Because most people think, you know, oh, these guys hate each other. But it's a love-hate relationship, isn't it? You love each other, really. I've
known Lois for about 5-6 years. And she's investigated with us a few times, but it's really just a wind-up. It's Nick. You know, she's really, really good friends with Nick, as you know. You know, because you know, Lois, you're there. Kate lives very near Nick. Actually, she's been out with him. So it's really just a bit of banter, you know. When I go in and say Sir Nick and all the rest, it's really just a kind of wind-up. And that's really it. And it's a bit of a laugh.
It's funny. It's nice.
You need to inject a bit of laughter into podcasts and that.
Yeah.
You know.
Totally. You two always have a laugh. It's so funny. You're always arguing.
That's it. And it's the same, you know, when Nick comes in and say, how we doing, Sir Nick, my hero and my bro and stuff. Because I just know winds people up and that's it. And I've said that to Nick as well. You know, I says, I just do it to wind folk up, and that's where it ends, you know.
No, that's good. So Laura says, I think the brown sheep threw us, especially as Rue said there had never been brown sheep.
Rue is one of the owners of the farm. It's called Ladyton Farm, but you know it's where the Dempsters live, and he's lived there for years. And we told him, you know, and about the brown sheep. And the thing about the brown sheep was that he mailed me a few days after we did the investigation, and he says, "You're not going to believe this."
Right.
He says, "There's brown sheep in the next field." He says, "And in all my years here, I've never ever seen brown sheep here." He says, "But there's brown sheep in that field."
Now, what I was thinking, it would be interesting to know, is if when they were living there in their time, did they have brown sheep?
Well, James Dempster passed in 1890. His wife, Christina, she passed 2 years later.
Right.
So they were originally from Dumfries.
Right.
They moved up here from Dumfries. I don't know. It's hard to say, you know, whether they would have. But I did ask them, you know, can you tell me what colour the sheep were that were behind the wall and they came back brown?
Yeah. Because maybe, I don't know if they were farming the land, but maybe they actually did have brown sheep, and it's just in their time.
They were farmers, and they had staff as well, you know, that did bits and pieces, whatever. But they were. He was quite a prominent farmer in the area in that time, in the 1800s.
It'll be interesting to look if there's any way to kind of look back on records or the farmers that are there now and ask them, you know, what were they farming and what animals did they have 100 years ago?
I don't know if you can find that out. Is Sarah and Laura good with their research, or maybe, I don't know. I can ask Rue as well, and we'll be seeing him next Friday, so I can ask him as well. Maybe because he knows quite a wee bit about the history and stuff, so I can ask him as well and find out. I dare say they had brown sheep in the days anyway, somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, when he says your ratings will fall down. Something like, good team, Nick. Mila is my homeboy.
He's your homeboy for now. Watch this space.
You're going to take him, Scott. So I have some more questions. So we've talked probably enough about the paranormal. Let's go into the history side of things. Okay. Bye, Willow. Bye, Lois.
Bye, Lois.
Good. Thank you. That's so kind.
Laura's
says
on
most
it
of the
already.
sheep were white when Mr. Dempster for a sheep called McGregor. Okay. Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Laura's on the job already.
She's on it. I'm going to ask you about the history side. Now, I know that you are a film director for the Wallace Trail. What is the Wallace Trail, and how did you get into that and the whole filmography?
I'm not. I wouldn't call myself a film director. That's because when we done the first episode, we were putting the credits up, and I said, "Right, what can we call ourselves?" Sarah-in-law and I said, "Well, you're the director, so just put director." So that's how it came about. But thanks, you know, I'm a film director. That's quite good. So basically, the Wallace Trail is. Everybody's seen the film Braveheart. Yeah. You know, fantastic film. I've seen it hundreds of times. But it tells you.
Are you happy with the Braveheart films? I've heard so many Scottish people that are not happy.
There's a lot of people not happy with it, and a lot of people are happy. The Society of William Wallace says that most of it is quite accurate. Obviously, there's parts in the film that were Hollywoodized, you know, just to fill gaps and stuff. But I thought it was a brilliant film. But the Braveheart covers the basic story of Wallace, you know. He was born, he was brought up, and then how he fell out and went to war with the English and captured and executed. But there's so much more to William Wallace than people actually realise. And there's tons of locations in Scotland that have got ties to William Wallace that people have not got a clue about.
Interesting.
So we did. I get the idea because a couple of years ago we did Forgotten Pendle.
Right.
Obviously the Pendle Witch Trials, but what we did, we covered the Pendle Witch Trials, and then we went on to, well, the people who were executed, the witch trials, there was many more people affected by the witch trials, but these people are never recognised, they're never named or anything. So it was the author Karen Perkins, she did it with us. We did a series of shows talking about, relatives of the executed people and how it affected them and the whole thing, the effect it had on the whole borough of Pendle at the time. And so I thought, well, why don't we basically do the same about William Wallace?
Yeah.
And I mean, the second episode featured Glasgow, and I'm born and bred there, and there's bits in Glasgow with ties to William Wallace that I've passed by hundreds of times. Like Bella de Bray and the Necropolis Cemetery, the Bella de Bray Monument. I don't know, many times I passed that over the years, and I didn't have a clue it was there.
Wow. Yeah.
So the Wallace Trail is basically to, bring these places out to people and show, this happened here and he was here. Like the Aram in Stirling is buried at Cambus Kenneth Abbey.
Right.
And then you get the Stirling Rugby Club, where the actual Battle of Stirling Bridge was fought on the ground. It's now the pitch.
Right. Okay.
And when we were lucky enough to be able to film on the pitch, and the guy that runs the club, he says, we're here every Saturday. He says, and I had no idea that our pitch was where they actually fought, kind of thing. So that's the whole purpose of it, to sort of bring to light a lot of the places that aren't highlighted.
Yeah, you're sort of mapping out William Wallace's life, aren't you, throughout Scotland and especially Northern England, and
And we'd had Gary for the Society of William Wallace on a couple of times, and we'd covered some of their events live. So that's how it came about. I went to them and I says, look, I've got this idea. It might not work, but what do you think? And he says, let's go ahead and try it. And I spoke to David and Craig about it, and they says, any advice you need for us, we're on board with it. And you can put our name to it as well. So with them, they're kind of mentoring us. So that's how it came about.
Yeah, and it's like episode based, isn't it? So every episode you talk about an aspect of where he was and what he was doing and monuments.
Every episode will feature a different town. With Stirling, with Glasgow, episode 3 is going to be Lanark.
Right.
And then probably Falkirk. The plan is we're going to end up in London with for the last episode, where he was executed in 1305 at Smithfield. So that'll be the last episode there. But we've got plenty more we've got Ayrshire to do as well up here with Wallace. Loudon, the Farm, actually, the Landron about the Farms get ties to William Wallace as well.
Wow.
So there's a lot to come, but each episode will feature a different town.
Yeah. And where can we find that? Where can people view?
You can find it on our YouTube channel, the Society of William Wallace YouTube channel, on their website as well. Okay. I get the letters mixed up. IMBD or IMDB, that website.
Is that the film one, IMDb?
Aye. It was Craig Allen set that up for us.
Nice.
And there's also, the Society's just recently done this for us. There's a series of locations around about the Falkirk Central Belt of Scotland, parks and stuff, that I've got ties to them. And on the notice boards, you'll find a QR code.
Right.
And if you scan that, it takes you to the Society's website and your episodes.
That's really interesting. That's really high tech. Yeah.
Well, I'm not a techie, so that's the best way I can explain it.
That's great. I mean, I can link them below. I'll put them in the comments. So.
But that's where you can find them. So the QR thing, I don't understand. I think I've scanned one QR at Sundrum Castle. Sarah told me to do it. I don't have a clue about it though. Sarah and Laura will tell you I'm tech thick.
No worries, Scott. Yeah, so you'll have to send me over the links and I'll put them in the comments.
I will.
I'll
send you the links to where everybody can see them.
Yeah,
they were also in the paper.
Great.
We also made the paper about a month ago. Right, 3-4 weeks ago, made the paper.
That's amazing. And just to specify, did you filmed it? Right, so you are filming these episodes.
It was Sarah's phone that we used.
Sarah's phone, okay.
The first episode, Sarah filmed most of it.
Right.
I'd done the Stirling Bridge bit. And the second episode that I filmed it all.
Yeah, and are you doing the voiceover or?
I do the first voiceover you hear is me, and then it's Gordon Aitken for the Society. He's the narrator basically. Gordon's the one you'll see in the episodes, telling you about the different. He's kind of expert on it. He's telling you about different places. So he does a couple of voiceovers for the places where it was kind of hard to film. Like we tried to film at the Wallace Monument, but it was full of tourists. So it really didn't happen for us. So what we decided to do was just film the monument, and Gordon done the voiceover for it. So I film it, and then Sarah and Laura, they sit here, and Sarah, they put it all together, and they fall out with me because and Laura does the photography. So everybody's involved in it.
Yeah. Scott films a video, Laura does the photography, and then Sarah edits it. It's a team effort. That's remarkable.
I think that's why he's been. I don't know. That's why he's worked for. Oh, there he's
Hello,
there.
Nick.
Hello, Nick.
Hello. Nick. Hello.
My hero. I think that's why, because Sarah and Laura do a fantastic job. I just gotta sit here and get in their nerves, basically. But when we're filming actually, it's weird. I don't like telling people what to do. If it's not in a kind of work capacity. But Gordon will say, right, where do you want me? I say, well, you stand there and we'll do this and stuff. But see, Sarah does the techie stuff. Laura does all the photography and lends a hand with the editing. So everybody just chips in.
Yeah, that's great. It's a nice project, definitely. Nick says, good to see you guys. You too, Nick. Hope you're
always
well.
A pleasure to see you, my friend.
Now, I have to ask you, I'm just being conscious of time. I just want to ask you about Elvis Presley, because you are a super fan of Elvis Presley. Could you tell us something interesting about Elvis Presley that probably other people wouldn't know? Just being a super fan and, something.
Something interesting about. I've been thinking about this one and there's that much, to the guy, and it's something that people don't know.
Yeah, normal people wouldn't really know unless.
His generosity. He was well known for his generosity.
Okay.
He gave away millions over his years, but there were certain little things that happened. Like I said, I think it was around 1974. He was doing a concert, and a little girl came up on stage, and he gave her a scarf. And she went back down in the crowd, and then he noticed that this woman had took the scarf off her.
Right. So
he got his security to bring the wee girl back up again, and he gave her a cross for his neck.
Oh.
And then it turned out later on that this cross was worth about $100,000.
Oh my goodness!
There was all diamonds and stuff in it, so it was worth quite a few $1,000s, and. There was another thing, a lot of people might know, another concert, he brought a blind girl up on stage, gave her a scarf, and she's like, can I touch your face?
Yeah.
And after, he told his staff, go and find that girl's parents. And she was to get operations in her eyes, and Elvis paid for everything. He
Oh
paid for
wow,
our
that's
medical care
generous.
for then on, And it was little things with that people don't, don't
Yeah,
know about the guy. Just wee things that happened.
that's nice.
It was. Oh yes, Nick and I talked about Elvis. So there's so much to the guy. It's hard to, pinpoint something that people won't know. I mean, way back, he was well known for buying people cars, and there was a coloured lady. He was in buying Cadillacs one day, and there was a coloured lady standing outside looking in the showroom, and he went out to her and he says, "Do you like Cadillacs?" She says, "Well, I love them, but I would never ever have one." And he said, "Well, go in and pick one, and I'll buy it." And he bought a
What
brand
year
new
was
car.
that? That must have been like in the
That was
60s?
back in the late 50s,
yeah,
early 60s.
when there was the segregation, I guess, and all that horrible stuff going on. Yeah.
He bought President Roosevelt's yacht as well, then gave it to a cancer charity.
Wow.
I think one of his biggest things was the Aloha Hawaii concert, January 73. It was done for the Cooley Cancer drive. He was actually the first guy. This is a wee fact people might not know. He was the first ever performer in music history to do a concert that was beamed by satellite around the world.
Wow.
And it was seen by over 1 billion people.
I did not know that. That is incredibly interesting.
Elvis was the first one ever. And that was done for charity. And he was offered $1 million to do it. And he said, put that into the Cooley fund. He never took I would say a penny, he never took a cent. But he put his fee towards the fund. So that's something else people might know.
Yeah, how generous he was. Like, he wasn't money hungry,
There's a well-known incident where he was told, you need to watch the crowds because they would rip the shirt off your back. And Elvis turned around and says, "Well, they can have it because they paid for it."
Wow.
That was the good thing about the man. He never ever turned down an autograph. He never turned down a photograph. He would open the gates of Graceland every weekend and let fans come in and walk about Graceland. He would do meet and greets every weekend, just open the gates and let them in. He adored his fans, which was a big thing.
Yeah, totally. I just want to ask you about the conspiracy that Elvis is not really dead. What's your view on that conspiracy?
Well, I'll be honest with you. He passed in 1977. And in the 80s, I was kind of 50-50. When it first happened, I believe he was away. I was heartbroken, what have you, the millions were. But in the early 80s, these stories started to come out, and I started to think, well, there's bits and pieces that don't actually fit, the death scenario. So I did start to doubt it. And, the guy had the money and the means to do it. But then the other side of the coin was, would he really have done it?
Yeah.
Considering his daughter, his family, and his millions of fans, So I think he did pass in 77.
You think
it'd be great? Yeah. I mean, if he was still alive today, it would be my maths is rubbish. He'd be about 89, 90 years old.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's been many reports over the years that he's been seen here. He was meant to have been in the film Home Alone.
But what?
Have you seen the film Home Alone?
Yeah.
Well, there's a scene in it where the Catherine O'Hara is at the airport. She's at the check-in desk, and she's basically telling, I need a flight to go home.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Well, if you look in the background, there's a guy standing, and there is a resemblance, to Elvis. But this story exploded, and people were putting the photograph up and drawing the circle and everything. This is Elvis. It turned out also it wasn't Elvis.
No, just a lookalike, surely.
Well, if Elvis has faked his death, sure his buttons, he wouldn't be in Home Alone.
Yeah, exactly. Of all things. Yeah.
It just got to the silly stage with people. I've seen him here and I've seen him in Germany, I've seen him in Africa,
Yeah.
and you think, no, he's in, he's in Greece. Priscilla was asked many, many years ago to prove that he died.
Right.
People approached her and says, can you show us the body, basically? And she was like, no chance. I'm not digging Elvis up to prove it.
That's not
but,
fair. No.
Because he was originally buried in Forest Hill Cemetery, but he was moved about two weeks after he was entombed. His dad moved him to Graceland along with his mum.
Okay.
He wanted to bring them home. Plus, there was also the threat of people trying to steal the body, basically.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So Vernon, he's passing 79. So Vernon decided to bring them home to Graceland. That's why he's buried at Graceland. But no, I think he did pass in 77.
Wasn't there something strange about his gravestone? The name?
His name, the name on the his name is Elvis Aaron Presley.
Okay.
And it says that Aaron was spelt incorrectly.
Right.
So this was another thing that people were kind of latching onto. How could you spell his name correct? But that turns out that is the correct spelling of the name. So there was that. There's been tons and tons, of different stories come out. But no, I think he did definitely leave us in 77.
Yeah. Well, I have to say thank you so much, Scott, for taking your time today.
Been
to
my
talk
pleasure,
to me about your life. It's been amazing. Thank you so much. So interesting. We definitely have to have you back on the show because I still have tons of questions to ask you. This was barely scratching the surface. But yeah, thank you so much. And I hope everybody watching enjoyed. Definitely comment. If you have any questions for Scott, leave them down in the comments and we'll get back to you ASAP. And just thank you so much, Scott. It's been great.
Thank you, Dol, for having me. I very chat as well. It's been great coming on and just sitting. It makes a big difference. I've done a couple of these, and I've said it's a big difference for me doing the, asking questions or whatever.
Yeah, because you're in the hot seat now.
I'm on the receiving end,
Yeah.
and it is a big difference. It's no, I've enjoyed it. If you want it back, I'd be more than happy to come back.
Yeah,
I'm sure
we have to do part 2. That would be
that's
great.
fine, Doc. That's fine. And I'm Sarah and Laura would probably be happy to come on as well if you want to interrogate them.
That would be lovely. I'd love to talk to them about the paranormal a little bit more, and especially Sarah, you said is interested in her history. That would be great. So yeah, absolutely.
You'd need to ask Sarah about Mary Queen of Scots. I'm a kind of Pendle and Tudor eras. That's my kind of favourite.
Right.
Sarah is a big Mary Queen of Scots fan.
I will ask her, and I'll also ask her how much of a pain in the bum you are as well.
You can ask her that. And Laura as well. Laura's got quite a good head on her shoulders, even though sometimes, some of the things she did take a bit of believing, but on the whole, she is quite intelligent. But I'm sure they'd love to have a chat with you.
Yeah, that would be great. No problem, Jeanette. I hope the storm is all fine.
Take care, Jeanette.
Definitely take care. And Nick, I know I was on for the last few minutes, but great show, guys. Thank you, Nick.
I'll see you at Halloween, Nick. Nick asked to come on. Was it Halloween?
That would be so good. I look forward to it. Nick, he's always in the hot seat.
You and I will talk soon, sunshine. You have a good day, Nick.
Oh, nice. Well, thank you very much, Scott. I think we'll end it there. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you next time on Got Stories to Tell on the Other Dimension.
Bye. Bye.